Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the 361 Degrees Big 3 6.0. So this shoe retails for $130, and if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the affiliate link in the description box. If you do choose to cop this shoe, it does help me out if you buy it through the affiliate link in the description box. I got this really bright orange colorway, and if you guys didn't know, the Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro last year was one of my favorite hoop shoes. It was amazing, right? So does this shoe live up to that shoe? I mean, I don't even know if it's the same exact line, because for the 5.0s, we had the Big 3 5.0 Quick and the Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro, and then we had the Big 3 5.0 Pro, which is kind of like the more big man version of the shoe, which, you know, they were marketing for, like, you know, Nikola Jokic. And then now we got just the regular Big 3 6.0. And then we got the Big 3 6.0 Pro coming out. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with 361 with this shoe line, but anyways, let's get it started off with the tracciones, and the traction pattern is pretty interesting. So we do have a little bit of herringbone, and then kind of like where the ball of your foot is, and also here in the heel we got a circle, and it kind of looks like a fingerprint just a tiny bit. You know, we got really thick grooves as well, and it kind of circles out on itself here in the forefoot and here in the heel, right? It also says all for speed, you know, so this shoe is made for speed. You know, and that was kind of like the motto for the Big 3 5.0. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, how is the traction? The traction, first of all, you need to break it in. So when I first got this shoe, I was like, oh, this feels okay. And then, you know, I went on the court, I was like, oh, it's not bad, you know, but it didn't have an amazing bite, right? And then I gave it a couple days. I played it, I feel like 2 days, and it started to get better and better. And on like the third day, it got really, really good playing on a clean court, right? So you don't even need to break it in that, you know, for that long, but once you do, it has a really, really good stop. I wouldn't say it's like top tier. It's not like a 9 or 10 out of 10, you know? I'll give it a solid like 8.5, 8.75 out of 10. You know what I mean? It's still a really nice, really solid bite once you break it in. Also, once you break it in, it has a nice loud high-pitched squeak. You know what I mean? It's not super loud, you know, but it does have a nice loud squeak, which of course has nothing to do with performance. But if you like to have a nice squeak, this shoe has got you covered. However, the thing that was just so freaking disappointing was the dust performance, right? So yeah, the Big 3 5.0 Quick and the Quick Pro had amazing traction with their solid rubber outsoles, right? With the translucent, it did pick up dust, but the solid, very, very solid bites, and also very, very good performance on dust. However, with the 6.0, it's a dust magnet, right? So it picks up dust really, really quickly. So yeah, you're gonna need to wipe a lot. And I guess the good thing is though, like, you just do a slight wipe and you're good to go. And again, like, if you wipe off the dust, you have really good stops, you know what I mean? But after like a play or two, you need to wipe again. So it's pretty freaking annoying having to wipe all the time. And not even on like just a super dusty court, even on a slightly dusty court, I had to wipe a good amount, right? If too much dust builds up on the shoe, however, it wasn't to the point where I was like sliding out like crazy and it was dangerous, you know, because some shoes, if you have too much dust build up, you slide out and like I get injured, you know what I mean? And I just slip and I fall. I never had that issue in this shoe, but it just never had a great bite. You know what I mean? And then once I wiped off all that dust, then I had a couple of good stops, then it would pick up dust again really, really quickly, because again, it's a dust magnet. So slight dust, I mean, if you don't mind wiping, then you should be fine. You know what I mean? So that was okay, you know what I mean? Because like, I don't mind wiping too much. You know, if I wipe every play, not a huge deal for me. However, if it's like a long play and then I don't have time to wipe, then it's kind of annoying. But overall, not a huge deal for me personally, right? But when I was playing on like a super dusty court, that's where I had a huge issue with this, and it was just picking up dust and never really had an amazing bite, because again, I wiped it off. I had 2 good stops, and it picked up dust really fast on the really dusty courts, and just sliding around all over the place. So that sucks, right? But one good thing, however, another plus for the outsole is the durability, right? So they are saying it's a durable rubber, and the grooves are so freaking, look at that, it's so thick. The rubber is really hard, also the grooves are deep, so you should be fine on the outdoor court for durability with the outsole. So yeah, there is a traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall it felt really smooth and pretty springy, right? So here in the heel, we got a nice curve shape, but also look at this, fully exposed midsole, right? And this midsole is super freaking soft, so you have a nice compression here. When you're doing heel dominant strides, it feels nice and smooth here in the heel. Coming here into the forefoot, we got a little bit of a curve shape, right? So that feels pretty smooth. And also here in the forefoot, right, we have a good amount of forefoot flex and a nice little springiness to it, right? So it's not super springy, you know, like shoes with like a full length carbon fiber plate or something like that, but it still has a nice little kind of like springy feel to it. We also have really good torsion support with the drive plate, you know, the drive system that they have. So yeah, overall heel to toe transition, very smooth, and it also has a nice little springiness to it while still being able to flex here in the forefoot. So there's the heel to toe transition there. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup, in my personal opinion, is definitely an upgrade from the original Big 3 5.0 Quick. Not the Quick Pro, just the regular Quick, right? So this shoe is using a completely different kind of like cushioning setup, or they're using two different foams, right? And they're calling it the drive plate system. So the upper layer is Quick CQ Tech foam, right? So Quick CQ Tech, super duper nice, very soft, very comfortable, right? And it looks kind of like Boost, right? So they're saying it's the upper layer, and then the middle layer, they got the drive plate, right? So they got the drive plate. It kind of goes all the way here into the forefoot. It gives you anti-torsion and stuff like that. And then on the bottom, you know, the bottom layer, we have Quick Foam Light, right? So it's a different foam. I don't know if you guys can see, it's right here, right? So we got the bottom layer, the drive plate, and then the Quick CQ Tech, the upper layer, right? So it's like a 3-layer system or whatever. So yeah, the overall core feel is pretty good. I would say it's slightly better than average. But the thing that I really liked about this shoe is the underfoot cushion. So first of all, the insole is just it's like a regular Ortholite insole. So it's kind of plush underfoot, not the best, but it's not terrible like, you know, some Adidas shoes, right? But then underneath that, we have like a textile material almost. And when I saw that, I was a little bit disappointed. But then, you know, feeling it with my fingers, it's actually soft. It's not super glued down or anything. So when I first got it, the step and comfort was still actually pretty dang soft and pretty nice, right? You can feel the Quick CQ Tech foam in the heel, but also especially in the forefoot. For me, I don't know why, it kind of like bulges up, you know, where the ball of your foot is right before your toes. That part kind of comes up a little bit. It has like a little bit of a pod feel to it, you know what I mean? So when I'm walking around, it feels kind of soft because it kind of comes up, you know what I mean? Kind of like a speed bump almost, you know? But then, of course, I got the playing in it and it got even softer, you know what I mean? So it has a nice kind of like plushness to it. It has a little bit of compression in the heel as well as in the forefoot. It's definitely not as soft as, you know, like the Joker 1 GT, the 808 Ultra, but it's definitely a lot softer than like the Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro, right? And it almost reminds me a little bit of like the Luka 3s almost, you know what I mean? It has a nice soft feel, but then like that soft feel kind of ends, you know what I mean? It's just a really subtle softness, and then it kind of stops, you know, probably because, you know, you had that plate or something, and then the Quick CQ Tech is kind of thin, you know what I mean? So it probably ends right there and then it just stops, right? But it's still pretty nice, and I feel like it's a really good blend of if you want like a responsive feel but still want like something soft and comfortable, you know what I mean? Because I definitely feel like some people, you probably think like the Joker 1 GT or like the Joker 1 or even the 808 Ultra, the Kai 2s might be a little bit too soft because it's a really soft foam underfoot, right? So if you try those shoes and you think, oh, it's a little bit too soft, it even feels, you know, borderline mushy to me. If that's what you think and you want something a little bit stiffer, a little bit more responsive, but still soft, then this is a really nice option, right? So yeah, I really like that. Also, of course, impact protection is great. Even on heel strikes, I was good to go. Forefoot, I was good to go as well. My foot really never hurt playing in this shoe. The cushion is super duper nice, very plush. As far as the bounce goes, not super bouncy. I feel like it's more like a softer feel, you know what I mean? For some reason, I don't know why. The Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro had a nice little subtle bounce. This one, for me, not as much. It still has a little bit of a bounce, but not as bouncy, you know what I mean? So yeah, the overall cushioning setup is actually pretty nice, especially for only 130 bucks. And I especially loved the underfoot cushion from this shoe. So there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is really nice now that it's broken in. Just look at this. Look at how soft it is. It is a little cheap feeling, however, it definitely feels a little flimsy. Like, look at this. Right? But it's broken in nicely and it's like still super duper soft. Also, extremely freaking thin. Right? And also very supportive feeling, especially on the sides. You can see like this part, it's glued down. It actually feels a little bit stiffer than like on top of your toes. So that adds for a nice kind of like supportive feel here on the sides where you need a little bit more support, right? So yeah, it feels really nice here in the toe box. Also has really good airflow. And they're saying it's a knitted upper, you know, and they're calling it a jiaozong. It's like they're knitted, like it's what the process is called, I feel like, you know? And it kind of looks like a really open like screen mesh almost, and then it's glued on top of like another material pretty much, you know what I mean? So nothing crazy, but it feels nice, you know? And it also surprisingly feels like it'll be pretty durable, even though it's just a really thin material, right? I wish they would have added like a fused material like at the tip of the toe, especially if you do toe drags, also especially if you play outdoors, but they didn't. And then here in the midfoot area, they added a little bit more of a synthetic material as well. It still has like a nice like structural rigidity to it. And then on the bottom of the tongue, we have a very open mesh too, which still has a little bit of airflow. And then for the overall tongue, not super well padded, you know what I mean? Not super plush, which kind of sucks. It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the heel, the ankle area, we also have very minimal padding, right? Like on the top, there's a little bit kind of like cups in, which is great for heel lockdown. And then where your Achilles is, definitely gets a little bit thicker. It's like, you know, most modern basketball shoes, like how it, you know, how the setup is. However, I really like the lining material. It's like there's like a line going through it, and it feels pretty nice. You know, it doesn't feel cheap at all either. And then here in the heel, we have kind of like a plastic heel counter as well. And also on the side, we got the three logo, 361 logo, right? And also we have the quick balance, which we'll get into. But yeah, overall, the upper has a really nice minimal feel while still feeling really supportive. It has a nice supportive feel as well. And once you break it in, it also does get really soft, so it conforms to your foot really well. So it's just like, it has all the good things of like a modern basketball shoe. And it feels like, you know, most other basketball shoes, because I feel like a lot of shoes nowadays use like the same type of material with like the same type of structure to it, with like the support zones and stuff like here in the midfoot. But I feel like it prioritizes a little bit more of like a supportive, stiffer feel comparing to like, you know, like the Luka 4s, the Sabrina 2, the Jaw 2. Definitely has a stiffer feel while still feeling just as thin and minimal as those, right? So that's definitely a plus to me, you know? So there is the material there. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to size, and this shoe fits me not so well anymore. So here in the toe box, look at this. I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe I just broke it in like crazy. First of all, like when I first got it, it wasn't super snug, however, but it wasn't like a really roomy fit here in the toe box. But look at this. It like scrunches up like crazy. And then once I broke it in, my foot would really toe bang a lot. And it's not like the shoe is like short or anything, you know what I mean? The length actually was pretty good for me. It's just that here in the toe box, because it's roomy, my foot would, you know, bang like, or my big toe actually would bang the edge of the toe box, and it would hurt a good amount, especially my right foot. My left foot not as much. So that kind of sucks, you know what I mean? I definitely wish it was a lot more snug here in the toe box, just for me personally. If you like a looser fit, then I feel like you'd like this shoe, but for me, you know, once I broke it in, it got looser. Not a huge fan of it anymore, you know what I mean? As far as the width goes, it's around normal to slightly narrow, you know, like most, you know, shoes are, but I really appreciate how it's not like super pointy here at the edge of the toe, because a lot of modern shoes, especially like Nike, are super duper pointy and very narrow. So I like how they made it a little bit wider. So it's a little bit less than normal, but still not like a super wide fit, right? So yeah, overall, everything is fine for me for the fit, besides here in the toe box. It's roomy, right? So there's that. Moving on to the support and lockdown. I mean, again, it's very nice for me. So for lateral containment, I'm good to go. Here in the forefoot, we actually have this kind of like knitted material, but also it's like glued down. So it's like, it's thick, but also stiff. You know, look at this. Doesn't roll over on itself at all. So that material is really like supportive. The foam also comes up a little bit, acting as a sidewall, and we have this quick balance. So first of all, this quick balance like plastic structure, it cages the foam here in the forefoot for better lateral stability, and comes up here in the midfoot, right? So that also helps with lateral containment, lateral support here in the midfoot. And here in the heel, we got this plastic like heel counter, and also it feels like there's another like plastic material under, you know, like inside of it. So yeah, lateral containment, I'm good to go. My foot's not coming out of the footbed at all, and the overall structure of the material felt pretty dang nice for me as well. Luckily, my foot wasn't moving too much like this, because again, this is a roomy fit, you know, so that's good. The only thing I had a problem with the lockdown was, you know, my foot, like kind of like my big toe banging the edge of the shoe, you know what I mean? So lateral containment was fine. Lateral stability also was really nice, you know what I mean? We got a very wide base, and overall heel lockdown was great for me as well. So support and lockdown was really nice, and even if you're a bigger dude, I feel like you should be fine, you know what I mean? Like this shoe has really good support, even comparing it to like the Lukas. You know, the Lukas First of all, the upper is really thin and very, very soft feeling, even the Sabrina 2s. And also the overall shoe is extremely flexible too. You know what I mean? But with this shoe, it definitely has a stiffer, more supportive feel. Not only from the upper, but also the sole of the shoe is a lot like stiffer as well. Has a more like springier feel too. So yeah, there's a support and lock down there. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. This shoe I feel like is a little bit lighter than average, right? If I remember correctly, it's like 11? Yeah, 11.25 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11.2 ounces, right? So yeah, that's extremely freaking light. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So yeah, extremely lightweight shoe. It feels lightweight. It feels very minimal because the upper is very, very thin. Feels supportive. The traction when I was playing on a clean court was really good. And the cushion is also responsive, but also like soft. Soft and comfortable while still not feeling too mushy. So it's a really nice, responsive, comfortable shoe, especially for guards. You know what I mean? But also I feel like bigger dudes, you should be fine. You know, it's adequate for support. I mean, again, it's not the best, but it's good for support. I mean, like, you know, better than adequate, you know? And also, again, the cushion is soft and pretty dang nice. So, yeah, I felt pretty dang quick when I was playing this, besides when I was playing on the dusty court. When I was playing on a dusty court, I was kind of annoyed. I was like, dude, it's just not biting well. I have to wipe all the time. It's freaking annoying, you know what I mean? But when I was playing on a clean court, I played in this shoe all day, you know what I mean? I really had no issue playing in the shoe. It felt really nice, you know what I mean? So there's the weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics, I feel like it looks okay, you know what I mean? I feel like it looks pretty basic. Now that I have it in hand and you know, I played in it. I feel like it looks okay. I think the Pro looks a little bit better, especially with the colorways. Or maybe it's just my colorway. Not a huge fan of orange, so. Anyway, tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, it's okay. You know what I mean? So first of all, there are definitely some pros about this shoe, which is like the cushion, the upper feels really nice, especially for the price. You know, it's thin, it's supportive, conforms to my foot, support's great overall, you know, has a nice springy feel and all that. But the two things that make this shoe for me like just not amazing, you know, especially comparing to, you know, like the Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro or like the Joker 1 GT, you know, which are like my favorite shoes for the past like year. It's just, first of all, it's super freaking roomy here in the toe box, which I didn't like. And also the traction dust performance is not great. Right, so because of those reasons, it's not in like a top tier performance, but still a really nice solid shoe, right? Especially if you're gonna be playing on a really clean court, you know, or relatively clean court, then definitely you should be fine. And also you don't mind the roomy fit here in the toe box, right? So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the 361 Degrees Big 3 6.0. Again, if you guys do want to copy, try to leave in the link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.